Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us and welcome to Learning Labs presented by the Forget Computers team of experts. Our goal is to share ideas to help our clients get the most value out of their Apple technology. My name is Kat Garbus, and I'm the Client Relationship Manager here at Forget Computers. Today's presentation is focused on passwords. This is part 2 in our Security and Privacy series. We created this series because security concerns come through our support desk a lot these days, and we've noticed many users have questions surrounding passwords and if they have a good one. We're hoping today's Learning Lab will help you feel better about your passwords and that you'll have something to take away to make yours better. Your host today for today's program is Ben Greiner, founder and president of Forget Computers.
All right. Thank you, Kat, and thank you all for taking time out of your busy day to join us for everyone's favorite topic, passwords. Last week, we talked a lot about building security awareness, and more than once I mentioned passwords. I said, don't be an easy target. Avoid using the same password across multiple accounts. I said, protect your passwords. Be very aware if anyone is asking for your password, whether it's via email, online, or phone call. And I said, use complex passwords. It was number 4 on our list of ways to avoid getting hacked, and number 2 on our list of easy ways to reduce your risk. However, I never mentioned what a complex password is. That's what today's Learning Lab is all about. One of the biggest security weaknesses we see amongst our clients right after a general lack of security awareness is the use of poor passwords and the lack of active management around these passwords. I realize it's not always easy. However, after this presentation, I hope it becomes a lot easier for you. There are 3 goals I want to accomplish in the next 12 minutes. First, I want to help you create at least one good complex password. Second, I want to provide you with the tools to forget all your passwords. And third, I want to introduce you to two-factor authentication. Before I give away the secret to a good password, let's quickly look at why we need to take passwords seriously, a lot more seriously than we see many people spend on their passwords today. For starters, if any of your passwords are on this list of top 25 passwords for 2014, then your password is about as good as no password at all. The biggest surprise for me is how did Superman at number 21 edge out Batman at number 24? Even if your password did not make the top 25 list, you need to know that as recently as August of last year, it was reported that a Russian crime ring had amassed the largest known collection of stolen internet credentials that includes 1.2 billion username and password combinations. Let's assume that your favorite password is part of that list and you need to create a new favorite password. What's the secret to creating a good complex password? There are a lot of really great articles you can Google to get all the details behind what I'm about to talk about. However, all you need to know today is length plus randomness equals a good complex password. The challenge for us is twofold. One, it's often difficult, very difficult for us to remember long passwords, and by long I mean at least 16 characters. Although depending on what articles you read and your purpose, you could get away with fewer than 16, or you might want a few more than 16. The second challenge is we as humans are really bad at creating random passwords. Here's an example. Let's take password, for example, which is number 2 on the list of most popular passwords for 2014. Most of us will try to make this more secure by adding some perceived randomness, like changing the A to an @ symbol, maybe changing the S's to $signs, possibly converting the O to a 0, maybe capitalize the D, because nobody ever capitalizes the end of a word, right? For good measure, we'll throw in an exclamation mark. In addition, if our website or server requires at least 12 characters, then we'll add a few at the end simply to meet the requirement. It feels pretty random, right? It feels secure. I'm pretty sure none of my friends can guess it. The problem is it's very easy for a computer to crack this password. Hackers have already built tools that think exactly the way we think, and they look for these types of changes and additions in a password. Programs like John the Ripper and Hashcat are two such programs built to crack passwords. Hashcat can crunch through 300,000 guesses per second. Passwords with less than 8 characters can be cracked in a day, some within seconds. The good news is, as passwords get longer, especially if they become longer and random, they take more time to crack. In some situations, passwords over 9 or 10 characters can take weeks or months to crack on consumer hardware. Hopefully, I made my point that we need complex passwords, but I haven't yet explained how to create one. Here's a method that's easy, and if done right, your password will last a lifetime. It's called DICEWARE, and here's how it works. You'll need a pair of dice to introduce true randomness into the process. You don't want to trust yourself or even a computer simulator to do this. Just use real dice. Roll them to generate a 5-digit number and do this 5 times. Here are the results of a roll that I did recently. You then match these numbers using the DICEWARE list. It's found online. It's in many different languages, and it contains 7,776 words. Here are my matching words, and this is my new password. It's technically called a passphrase for any sticklers who are listening. Speaking of sticklers, full disclosure, the creator of DICEWARE announced recently that 5 words is no longer safe, and he recommends 6 words, or 5 words and a random character. If you have a 5-word password today, adding a random character will make your passphrase about 1,000 times more difficult to crack. Adding a 6th word makes it 7,776 times harder. I think 1,000 times more difficult to crack is good enough for me, so here's my new password. I'm confident that with some practice and by building a story around it, I can remember this randomly generated password. However, we've talked about how it's not best to use the same password across multiple accounts, so what are we going to do with this password? There's absolutely no way I can remember more than one of these types of passwords. Of course, the answer is you need a password manager. You're going to lock your password manager with your new DICEWARE password. Then you're going to create all your passwords, each of them unique and random, and you're never going to need to remember a single one of them. Now, all Macs come with a free password manager application called KEYCHAIN Access. If you run a Mac, then you're already using it, even if you don't realize it. It stores all your passwords and login information. Nearly every time you choose to save a password on the Mac, it's saved in your keychain, so you don't have to remember or type your password every time. Mac users will recognize this pop-up window. It's KEYCHAIN at work. What most people don't realize is KEYCHAIN can do a lot more than simply store and retrieve your passwords. You can use it to generate a new password, a new and random password. Just make sure to select random as your type and slide the length all the way to the right. Currently, 31 characters is the maximum KEYCHAIN will generate. You can also use KEYCHAIN to store secure notes. If you're concerned about storing confidential information, this is a much better location than TextEdit or a Word document. In addition, you can use iCloud KEYCHAIN to keep your Safari website usernames and passwords, credit card information, and Wi-Fi network information up to date across all your approved devices that are using iOS 7 or later, or OS 10.9, also called Mavericks or later. I use iCloud KEYCHAIN. I recommend you use it too. However, I'm not going to go into too much detail on KEYCHAIN because even though KEYCHAIN is a great application and I actively use it, and it can actively help you better manage your passwords, and my preferred application is 1Password. It costs a little bit of money. However, I feel the price is worth the security and ease of use. Plus, Agile Bits, the developers of 1Password, have been kind enough to provide us with a discount code so you can save 25% on your next order. And that's the URL. You can go to that site at any time up until I think May 15th to get the discount. And we're going to be going into more detail on how to use 1Password during our learning lab next week. So I recommend everyone buy a copy of 1Password before then so you can follow along. If you're a client of ours, reach out and we can help you get started. Remember to use the DiceWorks method of generating your 1Password master password. One more item that I promised we talk about is two-factor authentication, or what Apple calls two-step verification. This is an additional layer of security that helps protect you a lot more than a simple or even a complex password. And I recommend that every time you have the opportunity to enable something like this, you do it. Not every application, bank, or web service offers two-factor authentication today, but it's becoming more widely available, so look out for it. Here's how to enable it with your iCloud account. Do it today, and once again, if you're a client, please contact us if you need any assistance. One last slide. Here's a very popular cartoon that summarizes exactly what we've talked about today. Oh wait, I've got one more slide. I threw this in kind of at the last minute, and this is what we call quiz time for anyone who's been listening. Which is safer? This is an iPhone screen grab. This is your typical standard 4-digit passcode on the left, and a lot of people don't know you can enable a complex or longer password, and that's what I'm showing on the right. So on my iPhone, I've got the longer one enabled. And what's nice about the iPhone, especially if you have the new one, is the Touch ID. It's a great way to not have to type your password so often. You still have to type it occasionally after a restart, but a lot of applications are embracing Touch ID, and it's a fantastic way to have a much longer, more complex password that you don't have to type every time you need access to your phone. Okay, I'm going to send this presentation back to Kat for some closing comments, and we'll open the presentation up for questions.
Okay, thanks once again for taking time out of your day to improve your security. Please join us next week for Master Passwords, where we'll dive deep into our favorite password manager, 1Password for Mac and iOS. We'd appreciate your feedback as well. If you feel we have helped or let you down, please let us know. Open up a ticket or reach out to us at feedback@forgetcomputers.com. We also welcome suggestions to our content. And we do have a couple of questions in the queue. Someone asked, what if I don't know my password? So this is a very common question we get at our support desk. The best place to start looking is in your keychain. Many people are often surprised by what they'll find in there.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize as they're using their Mac that they're even storing passwords in their keychain. And that's the first place to look. That's the place where we look. Sometimes our people who call in to our support desk think that we somehow magically know these passwords, and we don't, and we don't want to. It's a security risk for us to store your passwords. We don't want to do that. So we look to the end user to either know their password or have a method of storing it like a password manager.
And then this question looks like it may be geared towards you, but do you really not know any of your passwords?
Yeah, that I truly do not know any of my passwords. I use 1Password to generate a unique and random 50 character, I think it is. It's either 51 or 52 character maximum that 1Password can generate, and I use that for everything. And whenever I need them, I go to 1Password either on the Mac or on the iOS, and I copy and paste them. And we'll be talking more about that next week, and I'll show you how I do that and how easy it is and how nice it is to only really have to focus on one, maybe 2 passwords at the most that you need to remember, and the rest of them you can forget about them.
All right, great. Well, this concludes our Learning Lab Part 2. Thank you so much again for joining us.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Bye.